for joining us at this hour on QTV. You are watching QTV News, and I am Ajibintu Drame. In tonight's top stories, President Barrow has taken time off from his leave to visit a women's garden, which serves 5 communities, and on scheduled visit to the Basse Market rebuilds and other development projects. Birkama Area Council, in partnership with the National Roads Authority and the Army's 1st Infantry Battalion, on Saturday embarked on a day-long cleansing exercise of the new Yundum-Birkama Highway. We have a look at what happens to the huge volume of used car tires that seem to be everywhere. In international news, today is the International Day of Happiness, a UN-sanctioned commemoration. We take a look into what the day is all about. In sports, finally, we see the return of top-level women's football. The GFF Women's First Division is back. Also in football, the 50-man interim squad announced by the coach of Gambia Senior Scorpions has now been trimmed down to the final list. We reveal who has and hasn't made the cut. Stay tuned to find out if you guessed right. Well, those were our top stories for tonight. Do stay tuned for the news in detail. Now on to local stories. On the sidelines of his annual leave in Mankamangkunda, President Barrow on Friday visited a 9-hectare garden in Jimara district, which benefits 5 communities. Aliu Sise reports.
The 9-hectare garden is located in Mankamangkunda in the Jimara district of the Upper River region and benefits 5 communities, namely Mankamangkunda, Julangel, Sarenjum, Sinchang, and Saremusa. About 497 women and 48 men work on this vast garden, which grows onions, eggplant, cabbage, okra, lettuce, and cassava, among others. There are 5,550 onion beds measuring 1 meter by 5 meters each. There is another mixed vegetable area of 700 beds. President Barrow expressed his satisfaction with the transformation at the garden, adding it is part of his government's ongoing transformation of mixed farming centers across the country. He recalled that most of the 27 farming centers across the country had fallen into disuse, but the government has been able to rehabilitate 12 so far. He reveals that the plan to rehabilitate another 6 this year has been delayed due to the pandemic. He observed that this is the first time that this community garden has been entirely used by the people. My government recognizes the importance of smart farming, and we are committed to providing the needed support and equipment to continue supporting such gardens to add value to their produce, he remarks. Vegetable farmers in the country have complained about the lack of adequate cold storage facilities to store their produce. However, the president says an $80 million agriculture project is being implemented to provide, among other things, a storage facility in each of the region for proper preservation of their produce and create markets for the farmers. He encourages the communities to continue to make best use of the garden for their socio-economic development. In addition to the visit to the Women's Garden, President Barrow made a surprise visit to a couple of development projects and called in to see progress at the new Basse Market, the Basse Bridge, the Basse Fototokoina Road, and the completed Basse Yerabao Road. Reporting for QTV News, I am Aliu Sise.
It is common to see people throwing debris from their cars onto our roads. Street impediments and dirty roads expose people to pollutants and given the dangers posed to human life. Birkama Area Council, in partnership with the National Roads Authority and the Army's 1st Infantry Battalion, on Saturday embarked on a day-long cleansing exercise of the new Yundum-Birkama Highway. More in this report by Ansumana Isunyasi.
The new Yundum-Birkama Highway is one of the busiest roads in the country, and given the high flow of traffic, road accidents and traffic jams are not uncommon here. This prompted the Birkama Area Council and the National Roads Authority, in partnership with the 1st Infantry Battalion, to embark on this cleansing exercise to clean up the road and minimize frequent accidents. Underscoring the importance of this exercise, Modu Jonga, CEO of Birkama Area Council, says dirty roads pose a serious threat to lives, especially for drivers and commuters. Hence the need to frequently clean the roads.
We felt it is important and very necessary for us to collaborate with stakeholders to clear sand deposits, and troughs that are along the Birkama Westfield Highway, because we are of the belief that this sand deposits and troughs, affects visibility while driving, and also, poses a danger to the road users. So we felt we have a responsibility to collaborate and come, and conduct this exercise along this important highway.
Expressing similar sentiments, Lieutenant Colonel Pierre John Mendy, commanding officer of the 1 Infantry Battalion, thanked Brikama Area Council for spearheading what he described as a highly important national drive that should be supported by all, adding that GAF's participation in such exercises will help further strengthen civil-military relations.
I'm calling on the NRA to also try to enforce with this truck that are carrying sand to have the sand covered so that when they are applying the route, it will not be flying and accumulating on the side of the road. If it is enforced by the police, it will help a great deal.
Speaking to journalists, Augustine Gomez of the National Roads Authority also joined calls for such exercises to be frequently held. This, he adds, would promote road safety. Piles of dust, trash and residue are a common sight on most major roads in the Gambia. Officials say this remains a major impediment that is unhealthy and continues to endanger the lives of road users. While it is commendable that such exercises help keep the roads clean, which in turn promotes public health and safety, public attitudes towards road maintenance and keeping the environment clean remains a major concern. Until that changes, there will continue to be a need for such exercises. Ansmane Sonyasi for KTV News.
We will take a short commercial break. Still to come, we have more local stories. International and sports news follows. Do stay tuned.
Join the Gambia's fastest growing network and enjoy high-speed 4G LTE. Dial *335# to subscribe to QCell's 4G LTE service. There's no need to swap your SIM. QCell, Senior Boss. We innovate, others follow.
Welcome back. If you're just tuning in, this is QTV News. Now, still onto local stories. The importation of used car tires, mainly from Europe, has become a profitable business, contributing millions of dollars to the Gambia's economy. However, the prevalence of discarded tires in our streets, roadsides and dump sites is now a cause for concern. Babakar Sise looks at the importance and the dangers of used tires.
Each year, thousands of used tires are shipped into the Gambia. A significant amount of them end up as waste or scraps and are stockpiled by sellers and repairers. Kaba Sama is buying a used tire for his car. He says good tires are essential for safe driving.
The car need a tire, a good tire, because without it, the grip on the road is going to be very difficult. So it is very important for me and all other road users who use the car on the road to have a good tire on their car, because it helps them to stabilize the steering wheel. It also helps them to get the grip on the road when they brake and then when they are driving.
Unwanted tires are illegally dumped and many of them can be found in our streets. The problem is that the curved shape of the tire allows rainwater to collect and creates an ideal habitat for rodents and insects, especially mosquitoes. Mr. Sama explains other health hazards caused by abandoned tires.
Car tires are hazardous, very, very hazardous to the public, to the environment, and to the road users. When the tires are thrown about everywhere, it is not good at all. It is not good for our health, it is not good for the air that we breathe, and it is not good for the road users. And then if you burn it, the air, it can go into the air. It can have a lot of problems on the skin, it have a lot of problems on the chest. So it is not good for us to burn it. If we are to burn it, it has to be properly burned in an incinerators, or the council has a place where they can take care of it.
Mustafa Ngom specializes in repairing and selling car tires. He explains how he disposes of unwanted tires to keep the environment clean.
The country belongs to all of us, and it is our duty to keep it clean like our homes. It doesn't matter if you come from another country. We should try to do away with litter. A car needs a good tire, and drivers come here to change their tires, and they pay us. We will call a driver to come and transport these bad tires to the quarry.
In the Gambia, it appears any tire can be imported into the country no matter their condition. Abubakar Yama Balde has been repairing and selling used tires for 25 years. He blamed drivers for the pile of used tires at his workplace.
When we repair the tire, they leave the bad one here and go with the good one. That is the problem because we have to use our own money and pay drivers to dispose of them for us. That is not fair. For me, every month I pay drivers to throw my bad tires in the bush.
To help reduce the potential environmental and health hazards, the majority of scrap tires in developed countries are recycled by shredding and used primarily for civil engineering projects such as road asphalt, rubber mulch, playground surfaces, amongst others. As the trade in used tires continue to be quite lucrative in the Gambia, for the moment, it seems there is no enforcement as a solution. Babukar Sise, QTV News.
Well, quite a story there. Now let's take a quick look at some international stories. Today is the International Day of Happiness, and Jaina Bosonko looks at what the day is all about.
According to the United Nations, International Day of Happiness was initiated by Bhutan, a country which recognized the value of international happiness over national income and adopted the goal of gross national happiness over gross national product. It also hosted a high-level meeting on happiness during the 66th session of the General Assembly. The day recognizes the need for a more inclusive, equitable, and balanced approach to economic growth that promotes sustainable development, poverty eradication, happiness, and the well-being of all people. According to the 9th Happiness Report, a UN-sponsored report issued on Friday, Finland is the happiest place in the world for a 4th year in a row. Issues such as social support, personal freedom, gross domestic product, and levels of corruption make up a great part of the determining factors for the report. The report this year offers an unprecedented look at how people's lives have fared under COVID-19, including through the lenses of their mental health, their social connections, and their lives at work, and what the implications are for the people to live both well and long. For Africans, every year the report comes out, we asked why our countries are not ranked higher. In most African countries, including the Gambia, we think of ourselves as generally happy people. At number 49 on the global list, Mauritius is the highest rank and only African country to make the top 50. The Gambia is ranked 113th on the report, while neighboring Senegal sit at 101 on the report. The Gambia's ranking might be surprising to many. This, after all, is the country which seeks to attract visitors by branding itself as the smiling coast of Africa. Afghanistan, followed by Lesotho, Botswana, Rwanda, and Zimbabwe, are deemed the most unhappy places in the world according to the report. Reporting for QTV News, I am Jenna Bosonko.
Well, let's take a quick look at some exciting sports stories. Women's football resumed in the Gambia in style. Champions Red Scorpions began the defense of their league title with thumping victory against Kintes at the Q City Field on Friday, with one of the players bagging a hat-trick in the 12-goal thrashing of their opponents. And Sumane Esonyase reports.
Goals galore in what was a totally one-sided match. Red Scorpions showed they were a class above Kintes. The first half saw 6 goals, with 3 scored in the first 9 minutes. Adama Tamba looks poised to defend her golden boot after scoring a hat-trick in this season opener. In the second half, the goals came just as easily as the first, and the same number of goals rained in. Red Scorpions hardly needed help, but that is exactly what they got when one of the Kintes defenders failed to clear for what proved to be the 12th goal. Even though Red Scorpions were far superior, their coach Choram Benga thinks they gave their best, while admitting her side were too good for their opponents.
We are happy to see that the league has started today, and it was a very good performance seeing the Scorpion and Kintes playing. So honestly, I'm really happy and I really appreciate the way our guys play today. It's all about hard working. Like you said, the difference is so big, and honestly, we know what Kintes have in place. Our target was to score 10 goals in the first 45 minutes. Then the second half will come and negotiate. If we have 2 goals, then we are good to go. But it all comes to the same thing. Our target was to have 12 goals, and we got the 12 goals.
Conceding 12 goals without even a consolation would appear a painful result to swallow. However, Yusuf Asanyang saw it rather differently.
It was actually not a difference because Kintes and Red Scorpions have been getting a lot of test games at the training ground, and then we used to see such goals. And then from the players that were scoring in the match itself, it's not a surprise.
The Gambia Women's Football League offers goals and some beautiful pieces of play. However, most of the quality of play is low, and the gap between clubs such as Red Scorpions, Interior and Abuko United and the rest is very wide. The GFF may want to implement projects to enhance the development of women's football development. If so, their desired results are far from being realized, at least if the league, with such a wide gap between top and bottom, is anything to go by. Answane Sonyasi for KTV News.
Scorpions coach Tom Sinfield on Friday unveiled his final 25-man squad to face Angola and DR Congo for the 2 final but crucial matches in the ongoing AFCON qualifiers. Aliou Cisse reports.
The final squad list is goalkeepers Modou Diop, Seksibi, Baboucar Gueye, defenders Umar Koli, Bouba Sane, Pamoudou Diagne, Noah Sonko Sandbak, Djine Faye Ndiaye, Daouda Ngom, Maodo Diadhiou, Mohamed Mbaye, midfielders Ibrahima Sonna, Suleiman Mar, Alassana Mane, Abdoulaye Diallo, Abdoulaye Sanyang, strikers Moussa Baro, Lamine Diallo, Bouba Diop, Youssoufa Bob, Khalifa Mane, Hassan Cissé, Steve Traoré, Mohamed Badamossi, and Noah Marong. Notable absentees are Modou Baro, Hamza Bari, Seif Signan, and Ali Sow. Coach Tom Sinfield had invited a provisional list of 50 players, which is now trimmed to a final 25-man squad. The Scorpions will first play at home to Angola on 25th of this month before flying to DR Congo for the final game on the 29th of this month. The Gambia currently tops Group D with 7 points, followed by Gabon on 7 points, with the sides separated by goal difference. DR Congo is third with 6 points and Angola at the bottom with 1 point. A win for the Scorpions against Angola, coupled with a win for Gabon against DR Congo, will automatically secure the Gambia its maiden place at the Senior AFCON tournament. Irrespective of the outcome of the other matches, Coach Tom Sinfield and team will need maximum 4 points in the next 2 games to make it to Cameroon 2022. Reporting for QTV News, I am Aliou Cisse.
Before we end this bulletin, let's take a quick look at our main stories. President Barrow has taken time off from his leave to visit a women's garden, which serves 5 communities, and on scheduled visit to the Basse Market rebuild and other development projects. Brikama Area Council, in partnership with the National Roads Authority and the Army's 1st Infantry Battalion, on Saturday embarked on a day-long cleansing exercise of the new Yundum-Brikama Highway. We looked at what happens to the high volume of used car tires that seem to be everywhere. In international news, today is the International Day of Happiness, a UN-sanctioned commemoration. We take a look into what the day is all about. In sports, finally, we saw the return of top-level women's football as the GFF Women's First Division game back after a long break. In football, the 50-man interim squad announced by the coach of Gambia's senior Scorpions has now been trimmed down to the final list. we revealed who made the cut and who didn't. Well, that's it from me in tonight's bulletin. Thank you for watching and have a good evening.